Hello, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be, I guess we're not going to be flying. We're going to be boating. So today we're going to be taking a look at this neat little add-on that came out a little while ago, which added this lovely little luxury boat. And it's different. When I usually think of, Microsoft Flight Simulator, I say, well, they give us the entire world as one giant oyster. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if they, made it so that, we could do things other than flying? And here we are. So getting this thing started is quite a snap. Really not a lot to it. So one thing you got to remember, Flight Sim wasn't really intended for this. So you can have a lot of fun things. Like you can see right now how it's slowly kind of pulling itself to one direction here. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go ahead and fill this up with some gas. I'm going to hear we can use a little bit of fuel. We're not in that bad of shape or anything. Again, it's a pretty heavy one. And we'll use some quick ground handling to point us back towards the acetique here. Yes, if you look up acetique, that is the name of it. And of course, I'm looking at the bridge here today, and I can see that it is not backed up at all. Ocean City, Maryland, by the way, for those of you who are curious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this thing started. Couldn't be easier. Like I said, this thing is absolutely great for this purpose. I'm going to go ahead and flip the sucker open. We have a little fuel valve right here. We're going to crack that open. We're going to turn our alternator and master battery. We don't really need a bacon switch, but I can turn on, of course, your different light options right here. Panel lights, the air conditioner, which we don't really need today. We're just going to run through our gauges. We got plenty of fuel today. RPM 0. Oil temperature is good. Knots, we're not moving very quick. We can see we're facing basically southeast. And then on the far side, you've got your magneto for basically turning this sucker over and getting the party started, so to speak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go come over to the magneto, and we're just going to hold it until the engine starts. That's it. That is it. Now, one of the things you have to be kind of mindful of this aircraft. I said aircraft because that's all I ever say in flight sim. In this boat, which is a little different, is your ailerons don't do anything. So if you whip your aileron controls back and forth, nothing's going to happen. I'm doing that right now. But your rudder pedal now does all the work. Now, the reason this is kind of a big important point is if you're like me and you have rudders down on the floor, that means you're now steering with your feet. There are other boats that exist out there that don't have this feature, which is okay. But again, that's perfectly fine with us. One thing we do have, of course, is we have this little avionics screen here. They basically just ripped this right off another one. You got yourself a really lovely map, and I love the fact we're represented here as, an airplane. And we're just right out of Ocean Pines right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this party started. Go ahead and push the throttle forward. And we're going to start facing the first couple sets of problems right away. And let this thing kind of go. I love the fact the throttle is like this handle. It's this little guy right here. It's just different. The first problem we're going to face with this one, of course, is the fact when you look at this, we pick up speed kind of normally. Our RPM kind of picks up normally. No real shenanigans or things to complain about today, other than it looks like none of the tourists are out on sailboats today. Kind of disappointed, not going to lie. The problem we get, of course, is we're steering with our feet. And again, if you have a situation where you're a little twist controller, that's no problem. The second problem, and this is actually more of a flight simulator limitation, is as you start to pick up speed in this particular boat, what's going to start to happen is you're going to start losing a lot of sensitivity in your rudder. The real world, obviously, if you get a lot of water moving over a rudder, you can turn the thing on a dime. But if I go bang, you overstress the whole boat instantaneously. So if you want to avoid that happening to you, when you're cruising around in this thing, one of the things you want to do is go up to assistance options, and you're going to want to shut damage off. If you leave damage turned on, you notice there that I was at full speed, and I literally exploded because I pushed the rudder forward. So it's just one of those things that because of the limitations of flight sim, that's going to be a common problem that you are going to face. But like I said, it's not too bad. From a navigational perspective, I'll get up on step here. Again, I can pull back on the controls. There's no controls to worry about, kind of a thing. Navigation couldn't be simpler. Basically, you're a boat. So anything that's water, you can feel free to basically cruise under. You can cruise over. I would stay off of land. One of the fun things you can do with this is you can actually ram it into a sandbar and basically bounce off the top of it and land on the opposite side, which is one of those kind of like, oh, that's kind of handy kind of details. One thing I love is because they did give us this little display down here, you can actually bring this up and take a look at what this particular boat looks like when you're cruising. You've got your little compass across the top. You got your little boat speed, ground speed, water speed. This is a new experience for me. And now you can see, of course, all the regular little landmarks, and you can zoom in and stuff like that. For those of you who are VR fans, this thing is awesome. It's like it runs very, very smoothly, and it's just like do one of these, and what you do is you go get your favorite fan, which you probably have parked over next to the door or something like that. You just kind of crank it up and point it towards your head and just enjoy it as it just kind of sends the wind through your air. The air through your wind. The wind through your hair. Nice, long week. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you kind of the other little challenge you're going to face if you look forward to operating this one, and that's the weather. So if I go up to weather real quick, you can see we have nice, relaxing, nice clouds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put main crosswind turned on here. And what you're going to observe is, no amount of left foot is going to keep me in a straight line here. Left foot, left foot. The other thing you're going to observe here is this water is terrible, and this is the Assateague. We don't get water like this here. So of course, if we want to, we can quickly do some ground handling and straighten ourselves out. But you'll see, no matter how much left foot I push, it's always going to basically realign itself to the weather. So if I come back up here real quickly, let's grab that wind. You can see this is only 12 knots, by the way. This is pretty tame. If I bring that down to a little less than 10 knots, you can see even at full left control here, I still mostly can get through this. Again, this boat is really, really, really going to want to streamline into the wind. So if I let go of that, we're going right into the shore here. And I'm sure the people in Ocean Pines would not appreciate that very much. But again, why you'd be navigating this boat in this weather, I'm not sure. The other thing you'll probably observe is our boat is not really affected by the waves. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I actually think it's a mixed blessing. For those of you who try this boat out in VR, you're going to be very appreciative of the fact that it does not get affected by the waves. Otherwise, thunder chunks will follow. Of course, the downside to that is you don't get the whoosh, 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 like a real boat would. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and fast forward to this part. You're probably a little curious whether or not you can safely get yourself underneath a bridge. Now, like anything in Flight Sim, if you have damage turned on, you will not be able to get under any bridge. But it depends on the bridge we're looking at is what's going to determine whether or not we can safely get it. So this lovely guy right here, which is not backed up at all, it's not really a good time of year for going to Ocean City. I mean, it's a little cold, a little nasty kind of a thing like that. Also, there's a lot of traffic under the bridge, but what you'll notice is we can sail underneath that bridge with a little tiny bump because, like I said, it's we're still simulating where those cars can put themselves down to actually cross it. So if you see cars crossing, you're going to hit the bump when you go underneath that bridge. So just kind of be aware of that. So as we can see, a relatively simple experience. The range on this thing is staggering. You can go really long. I love the wake that I'm kicking up. I really should have like a water ski or something behind us. This is one of the faster of the boats available on the Microsoft Flight Simulator kind of marketplace for the purposes of things like this. You can see I'm still got a ton of rudder trim in here. Just like I said, it's the nature of this beast. And naturally, one of the things you can do too is you can shift the direction of the wind so it's like behind you or it's in front of you so that when we do streamline, we streamline on course. The other thing you don't have to worry about, of course, are things like, having any nasty currents or something like that. I picked this sucker up for $4, and it has been absolutely worth every $4 it is. Yes, it's got the aforementioned limitations that we've seen quite a bit, but it is just an absolute blast. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting goosebumps because I'm remembering the times when I would be doing this exact same kind of thing in the real world. Keep in mind, I've never owned a boat this nice, but it didn't stop me from sailing in this area. So that's just kind of one of those cool things. So if you're looking for an experience where you can basically kind of cruise around in a boat, just kind of take in the sights in a different way, and you don't mind hurting your left or right foot, depending on which wind is that day, this is a pretty solid item. Enjoy.